Hello and welcome to this Coachvox AI how-to video. My name's Ben, and in this one we're in the fine-tuning training room where we're going to be interacting with our own AI version and editing and rating those responses to make sure it converses exactly as we want it to. Let's get started. So here we are in fine tuning, and as you can see, we have a chat interface. Now, it doesn't look exactly like the chat interface our users are going to face, but it's pretty much the same functionality. So we can kind of assume that anything that our AI says to us is the kind of thing that it's going to be saying to our end users. Let me tell you a little bit about why this fine-tuning room exists. So up to this point, everything we've done in training rooms 1, 2, and 3, and our knowledge upload as well, is all static data. So it's all kind of giving information about our personalities, our conversational style, and also we have that kind of knowledge base as those separate pieces of training data. But now we're going to see how all of that comes together in a more dynamic environment, how it actually comes together during a conversation. And that's why we have this fine-tuning room. Something else to mention is this is part of Coachvox AI where the training data you create will not be shown in Training Room 5 training data. And that's because we're saving the conversational context. So we're not able to show you the whole conversation in that spreadsheet. So the first thing this means for you is you shouldn't be doing your primary training in fine-tuning. It's far better that you have all the data that you really want on the topics that you want your AI to be able to cover in training data. And here now we're just kind of shaping how that data is presented. So we fully recommend that you complete trainings 1, 2, and 3, and you have at least all the knowledge you want for one area that you're then going to begin to fine tune. So let's get into actually how fine tuning works. You'll see that I have my starter prompts ready to go, but I'm not going to use those starter prompts right now. I'm just going to say, hey, how's the weather where you are? Now, this is a strange question to ask your AI, but it's the kind of thing that you might not actually have in your training data. This is a kind of response where I may have fine-tuned it before on this, or like there may or may not be training data, but the functionality is the thing that I want to show you. So if you're completely happy with that response, you can rate it 5 stars and you don't need to do anything else. We're basically saying to the AI, good job, that's what we want. And that could be that it's responded with something that you actually had in your training data and you're like, yep, you've used that exactly as I would like. However, if you're not 100% happy, you want to rate it lower than 5 stars. And any rating between 1, 2, 3, and 4 is going to give you the opportunity to edit your response. Now, whether you make a small edit or a large edit, it doesn't matter. But what you do need to do is remember to save, and you save by clicking the tick, and you can only click the tick once you have made an edit. So if you said, okay, I just don't want to have this first part. Of course, this is quite a small modification, but the rest of it I quite like. I'm going to save here, and you'll see that that's automatically rated 5 stars. So there's a couple of things to note at this point. Firstly, if you do want to go ahead and edit that again, that's totally fine. You need to go and click the star rating again. The edit interface will open. You can make an edit and you tick to save again, and it will rank up to 5 stars. It doesn't matter if you edit many times, because the only things we'll save is the very first response and the very last edited response, so we can kind of save the comparison. The other thing that you need to remember with this is now this is what the AI reads. So maybe you completely changed the meaning of what the response was. When you continue that conversation, is it using the first response or the new response? And now it's using the new response. So you can continue your conversation based on what the AI has said, which is super useful because it means you don't have to go and restart the chat. So a couple of functionalities that are really important here. Firstly, you'll see this little copy icon. Now you're free to use that. It's going to copy that response for you to paste wherever you'd like. But remember, your audience is also going to have this option, which they might find really useful, because if they've asked your AI something for some guidance and they really like it, they might want to paste it somewhere. Maybe they've asked for a list of something or a process. They can copy that straight away. So that's a really nice feature to remember. And of course, we have the new chat function, which is the same as everyone else. So when you hit new chat, the chat's going to refresh, and that's the same for your users. Now it's going to forget the previous conversation, which is what we want, because we want to be able to start afresh as if there was no information already inputted. So that's how we do it here. So don't expect it to have remembered that we just spoke about the weather, for example. So the second thing I want to show you is just how the starter prompts are going to be used, because this is something that your AI it's going to have a lot of people using these starter prompts. And so of course you should have responses to these starter prompts in your training data. We don't want to be just training through fine tuning, because again, we cannot see this in training data. We can't make any edits to it. We don't know if we're creating lots of duplication. So there should be a response in Training Room 5. And this is a great way to see how well it's pulling through that training data. So you should do this for a few of the other FAQs you're going to face, not necessarily your starter prompts, but I'm just going to hit this starter prompt. And of course the AI is thinking about it. If the response is long, it may think a little bit longer about that as well, because it's basically writing out the response and it shows it in full. So this is a really good response. It's using my training data. These are the 5 exercises I have in there. It's slightly ad-libbed at the start and at the end. And if you want to make changes to that, it's going to apply those changes not only to the response for this question, but other similar questions as well. It kind of remembers the style that you put on here. So I'm super happy with this. This is 5-star response, and that just reaffirms to the AI, yes, you're doing the right thing. This is the right style to use. So we do recommend having actual conversations with your AI, things that are similar to what you think your audience are actually going to say, because that will help the AI not just in back and forths in sets of 1 question and 1 answer, but also if there's 3 or 4 questions. This is super useful if you have any processes or kind of frameworks that you work with. This is going to help the AI understand how you should be interacting with your audience. If you see responses consistently not quite as you want, what you may want to do, instead of just continually rating and editing here, go back to maybe Training Room 1 and go and change the style sliders, because that will change all of the responses. If it's using starters incorrectly, again, rather than just changing every single one through editing, you'd be better off to go back to Training Room 2 and change those starters. And then we can kind of make wholesale changes as opposed to you continually editing. Even 20 to 30 minutes in fine tuning is enough to make a massive difference in how much your AI actually converses like you do. We recommend spending some time on one area, then another area, and then another area, so you don't get too focused on one part of your training data and maybe the style of your conversation, but you neglect other areas. So we want to make sure we use the fine tuning across multiple areas of our training data and potentially our frameworks or methodologies. Once you're pretty happy with how your AI is responding, this is the time you might want to get your AI tested by other people, because as much as we think we're coming up with new ideas for what people might say to our AI, we can only use our own imagination. And when other people start interacting with it, we then see, oh, there's quite a lot of different questions I wasn't anticipating. And you can then head over into your client screen's transcripts to add the prompt and completions there, and they will show in Training Room 5. Or you could head over to fine tuning again and have a similar conversation to the one that those clients were having, and actually make edits to the way the AI was handling that. So I hope this video was really useful for you. Have fun talking to your AI and making those changes, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.